We are live. I am here today. Thank you, first of all, for watching with Adia Callahan. Once again, I've met with her a few times. She is an amazing group fitness instructor and has her own business as well. So we'll talk about her intro in a second. But our goal today is to accomplish identifying how to layer exercises as an instructor, why it's important, and why it can really add to that group fitness experience. So welcome to my channel. If you're new to this channel, this is really a live best practices interview series that I do every Wednesday with the instructors and the people in the fitness industry that I trust the most to get their insight, because I get tired of hearing myself. So I enjoy hearing other people. And Adia is incredible. So let's talk about her bio, and then we will go ahead and dive into the 3 questions I have for her today. She's obviously, as I said, a fitness teacher, a trainer. She's the CEO and founder of See Me Wellness and the creator of a podcast that I think has the best name of any podcast I've ever heard in my life, Sweaty Edges. So you'll have to check that podcast out. It's an educating podcast encouraging Black women on how controlling their fitness benefits benefits them while tackling hurdles real and perceived. And with all of her experience in teaching various formats, especially with the layers that she's found to provide to her classes, she's a really great person to be asking these questions today. She's taught from Pilates, which is quite complicated, to TRX, to boot camp, to strength. She can really do it all. So I'm excited to ask her questions today about layering. Thanks, Adia, for being here.
Thank you, Stacy. Is that me? Were you talking about me in the intro?
Who is that person? I know you've done so much. It's awesome. So the first question I have for Adia is, how has layering exercises helped you teach a quality group fitness experience?
So one, first and foremost, thank you again for having me on your show, Stacy. And then when it comes to layering, it allows me control over the class. And what I mean by that is it allows me to be able to, one, work out a movement pattern. So I'm very big on multi-joint exercises, especially in group fitness. I know there's a time and place for isolation work, especially on one-on-one side of things. But in group fitness, there's the time aspect, there's the motivation aspect, and then there's the get it done type of aspect when it comes to the class structure. And so with layering, it allows me the opportunity to work through multi-joint exercises with the progression and regressions that we want to offer our participants in a more seamless manner. Right. So it allows you. So for me, that's the control aspect of it. I can teach a complicated movement pattern and feel comfortable and more secure in my teaching abilities, as well as my communication abilities, to get that across to the participants so they can still feel like it not only was a good workout, but they were successful in it.
Exactly. And I didn't really do a very good job really defining what layers are, but you did a good job pretty much explaining it. It's a way to progress, I guess, if I were to define it, by taking a lower or medium level exercise and then layering up or down depending on where you're wanting to take the class. And some people will stay with a certain layer and some might move on. But just a quick story in the experience I've had in, like I had said earlier, Adia teaches TRX. It's this pretty, it looks kind of like a seatbelt strap hanging from the ceiling, but it has handles. People get scared by it. They don't quite know how to use it. And I've seen her teach that class, and there's so many ways to use the equipment. That she was able to basically take, majority of the group was very used to the class and had been to her class often, but I had seen like 2 or 3 people in the room who I was like, you could tell it was their first time. You could tell. And they were able to find the level or the layer that worked best for them. You could tell they felt successful, but they were also able to see what was possible for them for the future.
Right. And, with layering, it gives you as the instructor. So on the client side, the participant participant side, we know that layering is very good for them, right? But on the instructor side, what it does for you is it gives your mind a chance to settle in. Does that make sense? So you have all these participants in the class, some you know, some you don't know. People are coming in late, people are distracting, because that's just how group fitness is, no matter what. And so I like layering because it gives me the opportunity to also settle myself as an instructor, meaning I know that whatever the outcome I would like to get the class to, I have a foundation and they have a foundation. So together we can build up, and it gives me a chance to think my way through things. So I may have had a plan to add a certain movement pattern into the sequencing, and I looked out in the crowd and said, not today. That's not going to happen today, right? So now I have to think on the fly. So with layering, that gives me an opportunity to figure out what can I do, and it doesn't have to have a freak out moment internally, which usually translates to a freak out moment externally, and then the participant can see that and feel that.
Totally. Oh my gosh. Yeah. It really helps. I think you as the instructor, like you said, find the pace, find the level of the crew, but be prepared to go up or down
Yeah,
depending on what's going on in
right,
the room.
right.
It's so true. It can be, there's so many distractions and things happening in a group. There's so much multitasking already. So
Yes.
preparing those layers can really help you be successful.
Right.
My next question actually kind of brings us to the how. So if you could give us some examples of common exercises and how an instructor can take the exercise up or down. And when you cue it, actually, how do you tend to cue? Down
Right.
to up or up to down? How do you tend to do that? So
I
that's two
go
questions, sorry.
Sure, no worries. So I typically go from down to up, and what I like to do. So let's take a squat and press, like a really basic multi-joint movement pattern. What I like to cue verbally is setting up the squat is the foundation of the movement. And so when I'm designing my class, and even with personal training clients or Pilates, I try to identify what movement is my foundation. And what I think it does for the participants is, more importantly, it gives them an out where they can still feel successful, meaning this is going to take your body and your mind the most work to get this foundation exercise. And I really hype it up. And I spend a lot of time on that. So if it's a squat, if it's a lunge, a push up, whatever I consider the foundation, I spend the most time there because I want them to do that very well. And also, I want them to feel comfortable to go back to it if they do need to take a personal regression. So now we have a squat, and then usually I'll play with tempo. So I'll give them the basic squat. We've already had a conversation about musicality and tempo and counts. So usually I break that down into something a little bit more slow in the sense of, in comparison to the music. If not, I'll go half the tempo if it's super complicated. And then by the time I speed it up to tempo or faster, now we're getting the aspect of cardio in there. So now you have a squat, you go down 2 counts, up 2 counts, you're working on foundation, you're cueing form, you're cueing alignment. And then once you feel good about that, we pick up the tempo. They're still feeling good. Those participants who are really wanting the workout, they're really starting to feel the burn now because they went from slow twitch now to fast twitch. And those participants who say, I'm good right here, the tempo change, they can stay there, right? So now I've given them 2 layers just with the same squat, but I've used tempo to be my progression. I'll then, for that squat and press, I'll take them back down as a group. So they'll give them a chance to think of it more as an active rest, take the tempo back down, they get recentered, and now option 3 would be to add the squat with the curl, right? So some participant, that squat and curl is really good, and they can really work that, and they're getting to the biceps. And then as I'm looking around and I see that participants are maybe able to maintain form, and Stacey, I cue that. Like I seriously say to them, if I don't like what I see and you don't like what you're doing, stay here. Like just stay here. This is a good workout. I would get the shoulder somewhere else. I promise you that. And I do make good on that promise. But if we all are working together and it looks good and it looks safe, that squat now, squat, curl, stand, and press. And then you've given them 4 options for just squat and press, right? So you've given them the option of tempo, you've given them the option of squat and curl, and then now you've given them the option of stand and press. And it seems like it takes a lot out of you, but when you think about it in a class structure, that's almost 2 minutes worth of work they've just done.
Yes.
But they don't feel like it's been the same squat and the same press. Like they've had to earn that press. Like they know by the time they've gotten to the squat and press, they have earned that. And so I think for the classes where you know your participants especially, and you want to build your class, give them the squat and curl for a while, right? And then allow them the opportunity to earn the squat and press in the fact that they have maintained good form, body awareness. And now it's not so much of you just telling them what to do, but they feeling like they can do it, right? It gives them the autonomy to now, I feel like today is a good day to do the press, right? And so for me, I've found that I've earned a lot of trust with my participant by giving them these progressions and these layering in a safe way. And so those of them who say, I want to squat and press all day long, they can do it. And those of them that says, I'm not really comfortable with the press because either injuries or I'm not really feeling strong today or whatever, then they know by the time the squat and press comes again, I say squat and press a lot, right? I'll get off of that. But by the time it comes again, maybe in another class, they may have gotten stronger.
I love that. And I'm so glad. It's like you read my mind. I was like, it's so helpful to layer those exercises in that way versus show one choice or one exercise and then provide options that kind of branch off and are kind of like one-offs just because you felt like this one person or these few people need an option.
Yeah.
The fact that you've had them moving during that time, there's no like stopping. It's so much. What I've loved about her classes when I take them, you guys, is that we're always moving. So we're always feeling the progression together. And then where people need to find that ceiling, they find that ceiling and the rest of the group can keep going. But there's no, I guess I feel bad for people when like someone cues a burpee and which is hard in itself, but they're like, okay, so we're teaching the burpee now. And then they look over at this like 1 or 2 people and they're like, here, you just do a squat. And that's not even close to the same thing.
No, it's not. And so like, let's take burpees. If we have a few minutes, we can break that down super quick, right? So you work on the squat and you work on the foundation of being able to open your legs wide and with good form to touch the floor. Because you have to touch the floor to do a burpee. So now squat and touch is your foundation, right? And those participants who can't touch the floor yet, because some people, for whatever reason, can't, they still can work on that because they know once they touch it, they're ready to progress. So now squat and touch. All right. Let's move on. Squat and touch, step back into a plank. Step back into your squat stance. Step down, plank, stand, lift. Down, plank, stand, lift. Down, plank. Now add tempo. Down, here's your option 3. If you can plank, you can hop wherever you want to. Yep. So you can hop coming into your squat, a hop going back into your plank, or you can stay here and plank, walk, up, down. Option 4, you feeling good? You feeling strong? How about you add a jump when you stand? Squat. And now you've gotten 4 layers out of a burpee, right?
Yep.
And it's really a lot simpler than I think some people give it credit for, this layer process. But again, there's success on the participant side, and then there's success on your side as an instructor if you care about that portion of it. Because I know some instructors, right? Like some instructors we all are cut from a different cloth. So maybe that's not their goal when they went in. And that's their choice. But if your choice is to make the group as a whole feel good, then it may be something worth looking into.
So true. Yes, that's so true. And it could depend on the class format that you're
Sure.
teaching, but no, I'm so glad you explained it that way. And I'm glad we went through the burpee because that's a
Mm,
common exercise and it's a
mm.
lot of parts. But once again, that squat touch the ground or squat touch a step or something, you can make that faster and they at least get their heart rate up with
Yep.
the rest of the group. So awesome.
And
And then the last question
mhm.
I have is how do you recommend trainers and instructors take time and use the time when they plan their exercises to kind of layer those themselves? What are some strategies that you use to kind of plan for it?
Sure. Because until you said it, I didn't realize how long I had been teaching. I think sometimes you kind of blank out. It's almost like pregnancy. You just kind of blank out certain things.
Yeah. So
So I,
it's I know exactly. It's like autopilot.
I'm just like, I just go to work every day. That's all I do.
That's it.
But I think when you are putting together your class structure,
Mhm.
one, layering works for a lot, but I think layering works for multi-joint exercises versus isolation.
Mhm.
So if you are an isolation type of instructor, meaning you do so many reps of curls and then so many reps of presses, then the challenge I would give to you is how could you combine two of those exercises together, right?
Mhm.
Because really, if you're doing a curl, if the participant has full range of motion at their elbow joint, then they've accomplished, right? So yeah, let's say you did that, and then you say, well, pick up your right foot. Well, you just actually layered. So
Mhm.
trying to take two different isolation movements that make sense and put them together, I would challenge you to start working on that for the layering, right? Because you start off with one and then you add another.
Mhm.
If you are an instructor who does already work with multi-joint exercises within your class structure, I think the first thing that you really want to start asking yourself is to accomplish layering, you have to have your foundation.
Yeah.
So let's say you're doing a clean and press, right? Like, I mean, clean and press is a serious power lifting.
Mhm.
I get nervous when I see that done.
Saying the word. Oh.
I get real nervous when I see that done. So
Yeah.
where is the foundation? Where is the basic movement pattern that you need the participant to really be able to accomplish before it's safe to press that bar overhead, dumbbell
Mhm.
overhead? Is it the shrug? So
Mhm.
if you start off with the shrug, right? Hey, that's my foundation because I'm not a power lifter. I mean, that's not my forte. I just know that the shrug is a portion of it. Shrugging is a exercise, like that's a true exercise. So you could get the participant to get used to shrugging in a way that doesn't hunch, they
Mhm.
don't lose form. And then from there, maybe you add the row. So then you start teaching them how to lift the elbow. I don't even know where my elbow is in this big sweater. Elbow up past the shoulder, wherever it is in the basic movement, you yourself have to know how to properly work your way through it in order to teach them to layering. So now
Mhm.
you have for a clean and press, you have a shrug, you have an upright row, you have an upright row with a flip. Add the squat in there. So now you've gotten three progressions. You have the shrug
Mhm.
as one, shrug in a shrug row, flip into your squat. And then from there, you could get into your explosion. And now you
Yeah.
have four progression where participants, if they have a shoulder injury, they might just keep the shrug. Or maybe they
Mhm.
flip their palms up and just do the squat and with the arms up, whatever. But now you've given them the opportunity. And again, you as an instructor have built in a little control. So now you start seeing clean and press probably wasn't a good idea for tonight or today, whatever the class is.
Yep.
You can take back control over it, and then you can say we're just going to work on this 2 weeks, 3 weeks from now. We're going to get to a press, and then you have set it up for them as well as yourself. So now you're not getting to things where people are saying, don't go to his class, her class, because she'll hurt you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I love it. I love it. So awesome. So helpful. So easy too, just to have that concept and think about these things, especially. I know it's weird to think that we're honestly going to the new year, but I think all of us are thinking about the newer people who are going to be
Yeah.
coming to our fitness experiences too,
Yeah.
and being able to help them feel successful, as we've
Right.
talked a lot about, and get a great workout. And if
Yeah.
you are going to repeat something over and over again, being able to add extra or take down can really make the experience unique and enjoyable versus feeling like they're doing the same thing the whole time, or there's not something that's going to suit their body. So
Sure.
love it. Love that you broke it down so well. And I appreciate your time once again. Thank you everyone for joining us, whether it's right now or later. Be sure to subscribe to this channel, like this video if you want to see more content like this. I'm definitely going to bring Adia back, and these videos are every Wednesday. So take a look at my Facebook page or even on YouTube to find out when they're going live. Between 10 a.m. and noon and 1 tends to be about the pattern. But thank you again so much, Adia, and check her out once again at See Me Wellness and at
Sweaty edges.
Sweaty
Sweaty
Edges.
edges. Yes, season 2 is coming out soon. So,
Woo. So
yay.
exciting. Love
Yay.
it. Thank you again, Adia. We'll see you guys later.
Bye. Thank you, Stacey.